people have weird motivations for doing stuff like that sometimes, especially when they're on television. But we get Maddox saying that there's lies upon lies and that the Federation is involved. And I know Rebecca and I have been saying that the whole time. That
yes, we have. The Federation is involved. 100%. Why else? They're totally involved. They're totally involved.
So yeah, but then I'm like, are they going to resolve all of this season? And if they do, what's going to happen the next 2 seasons?
Yeah, I know. It's such a big... Well, I mean, it's already been greenlit for season 2, which is great, as you know.
They want to do 3, right?
I
they
mean,
have planned out to do 3, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, the showrunners have said that they have a 3-season story that they want to tell. I hope that they get that 3rd season to tell the whole story. So, whether this will all be wrapped up in season 1, I kind of have a feeling some of it will be wrapped up, but I think there'll be some that they will leave kind of hanging for season 2. I could be totally wrong on that, but I kind of feel like they're going to leave a little something unresolved to then come back to it in season 2.
So Agnes goes up to Picard after he's asking all these questions of Maddox, and she's just like, he needs to rest. He's pretty sickly, get out of here. Get out of here. And so Picard leaves, and he goes back to the bridge, and he's talking to Rios, and he's like, well, we've got to go to this artifact. And Rios says, if I'm going into Romulan space, my fee is doubled, okay? And then, Picard brings up that he called him an old man earlier, and then I don't know why, it just tickled me that Rios called him Jefe, and I'm like, he's speaking Spanish again. It's like he just called him boss, but that's okay.
I love it.
But we see Agnes in sickbay again, and Maddox is like, I thought I was dreaming. I didn't know if I'd ever see you again, and all this kind of stuff. And she's just like, oh yeah. And then they sort of talk for a second, and then she's just like, I'm gonna have to kill you, kind of thing. Like, she doesn't say that, but her body language. And then the EMH shows up, and I think I started to say something about that earlier, because whenever her heart rate is elevated, when she was worrying about the transporting them and all that, it showed up, because it's like, what is your psychological problem or something? And it did that this time too, and she's just like, it's like, get out of here.
Yeah, he asked her, what is your psychiatric emergency? And well, earlier when she was like, I don't have one, and he's like, your heart rate's elevated. Yes. I want to give you a sedative, and then she starts hyperventilating, like,
and then Rios is like, what's going on?
I don't need a sedative. I'm fine. Well, even here too. I mean, obviously her heart rate is like super elevated.
Cortisol levels this time, and and she's just like, deactivate. You're bothering me. I got something to do.
I can't kill this guy if you keep showing up and bothering me.
She's got, the thing in her hand, and I guess he's sort of in like an oxygen bubble or something, because it's like he suffocates. Is that what it was?
Didn't she say she stopped giving him what was helping his bloodstream or something? There was something that he needed. I don't know what they call it, like hemoglobins or something in his blood or something like that. And so like they stopped pumping him full of something, and so that's what ended up killing him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she basically stopped treating him because he was bleeding internally, and he needed to have he needed to stop the bleeding and do surgery. But of course, in the 24th century, it's not open up with a scalpel surgery. It's all done with lasers and whatever. But she, as you said, Brian, she stopped giving him the medication, so he basically bleeds to death. And he dies quickly from his internal injuries.
I was going to say, and that's really terrible, because he actually was giving her credit for building these synths, man. Mm. He's like, me and Steve.
Yeah, he was.
You.
He was.
A weird, smart white dude gave credit to a lady when she deserved it.
I know. Finally, half the 24th century, we get our credits. Just hang in there for another couple hundred years, Brooke.
I'm going to give both of you ladies credit for putting together this episode because you guys have done a great job. So,
thank you.
So stop your.
But
what I was going to say is like, how do you think she's going to be going forward in the upcoming episodes after doing this? How is she going to interact with everybody? Is she going, you know what I mean? Is she going to just be fine emotionally, or is this going to be something that's going to haunt her for the rest of the season?
We also, if Seven comes back, we technically would have two people who have killed their ex-lovers, basically.
True. I'm wondering if she is under the influence of a mind meld. I mean, is she going to be able to compartmentalize stuff that's going on? Like, can she kind of organize her mind and say, okay, me killing my boyfriend, I'm just going to keep that over here on the left side of my brain, and on the right side of my brain, I'm going to be quirky little Dr. Girardi. Like, I don't... If there's a mind meld involved, certainly you could imagine she'd be able to do that.
I think she's gonna amp up the quirkiness to hide any of her feelings or whatever.
To hide the guilt of murder, yeah. Yeah, that could happen too. Or we could see her start to devolve too. Like, that's also an option. Like, she could start to devolve as she tries to be normal and gets more and more. Maybe the EMH pops up even more now. Like, are you sure you're not having a psychiatric emergency?
If this is exposed to the crew that this happened, and if things aren't resolved between Rafi and Picard, Rafi's going to use this against him, saying, you were the one who brought her on our ship. Yeah. You vouched for her. You said that she is the leading cyberneticist, blah, 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 blah. And look at what she did. Look at what she did.
That's an excellent point, Brian. I didn't even think about that, but you're absolutely right. This will be something to drive a bigger wedge between Rafi and Picard. And then, by extension, Rios and Picard. Like, who did you bring on my ship? Yeah, no, absolutely. This could destroy... This could blow up this very fragile group.
Mm-hmm.
And poor Elnor the whole time will just be like...
lost. Is everyone still pretend? Are we done pretending?
Is this a play?
Are we still pretending?
He's like, I'm supposed to be in Rivendell in Lord of the Rings. Can you guys point me to Rivendell? I need to hook up with a couple hobbits.
Yeah.
Something about a ring. Yeah.
Has anyone seen The Ring? The one ring to rule them all? Anybody?
Every time I see him, I just think of those elves from
Lord of the Rings.
So funny.
Another thing that the internet agrees on, that Elnor looks like an elf from Lord of the Rings.
So funny. I love it. So that was our episode. I just wrote woo. Actually, it looks like it says who.
Yeah.
But anyway, that doesn't matter. But that was the sound I made after I watched it. I was like, woo. Because that was...
I'm super excited that stories are going to converge now. Like, we're going to the artifact, so we're going to get to see that everybody on the artifact and then Picard's crew. All these stories are going to converge. That's what I really loved about this episode. I felt like it felt very focused, that we were just kind of hanging out with Picard and his crew this entire time. And, some of the other episodes were bouncing back and forth. And I think it all leads up to where we need to go. But I'm glad that some of these stories are converging now. They're coming together.
Glad that I didn't have to see Narek and his creepy sister Rizzo this time.
Oh God! Yeah, we took a break from the Lannisters of space.
God.
Space Lannisters. Yeah, we took a break this episode from them. Yeah. I'm sure next week it'll be extra because we didn't
the
get
next
any
time
this
she wakes
week.
him up in bed, she'll be naked.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. So creepy. Anyway, anybody have any thoughts on the next time portion we saw at the end, or?
Oh God, there was like one scene that really stood out to me, and I'm forgetting it now.
Well, I think, I mean, they certainly implied that next episode we're going to start to see Soji become activated, just like her sister was. They did not address.
Yes, she's in that chamber. Thank you.
Okay.
She's like in a chamber. It looks like she's like locked in a chamber, and there's like a red gas filling the room.
And she's
like they're
trying
to bring it out of her, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean that's how Dodge like got activated, was through a violent attack, and it triggered something in her, and she like Jason Bourne'd everybody to death. So it almost feels like they're trying to do the same thing to Soji, like they're trying to activate her skills, which she doesn't know she has. And and we learned in this episode that Maddox sent Soji to the cube and Dodge to Earth to investigate this whole thing, this whole conspiracy of what happened with the synths. So, I mean, she's there on a mission, which she doesn't even realize it's her mission. She just thinks she's there because, she studied to do this thing. But as she becomes aware of who she is and what she is, I think that's going to be very dangerous for everybody around her. But it's also going to be dangerous for her as, she becomes aware of who she is. And then especially like the Tal Shiar and the Zhat Vash who are after her. I think things are really going to start to accelerate now.
I don't know if I was crazy. Well, I mean, I know I'm crazy. Did they flash Picard as a Borg? Okay.
Yes, they did.
Is that like a flashback?
Okay.
Or what do you like? Is he having like a mental like remembering it when he gets there?
I don't think that's Picard. So
it looked like Locutus to me, but I don't know because it was real quick and I didn't pause.
I'll tell you why I don't think it's Locutus, because the implants over the eyes are different.
Oh. Yeah, see, I wish I had paused it, but then I'm like, do I want to get that much into it before I've seen it?
Yeah, I think it's Rios.
Ah!
And I'm not saying that Rios is going to be assimilated. I think that it could be, and I was talking about this with a friend before we started recording. I think this could be comparable to like the scene in Avengers Age of Ultron where Tony Stark has the vision of all the Avengers dead. It's like his greatest fear. And I think that we could be seeing like something from a dream sequence that Picard has, or because we do see a scene.
Or if we see what Agnes was shown.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. That's ooh, I like that one even better. That sounds great.
And this can tie. Can all tie back to maybe Soji is the Borg Queen, because it's like they figure out they have to do something, and then they send her back in time and she ends up being the Borg Queen instead of reborging everyone in their present day.
Reborging everyone. I like that.
Does that make sense?
No, it does. It does make sense. If you go back and you watch this, and you watch the coming next week thing, pause it on the person who is a Borg. I really think it's Rios.
When you're watching it in the moment, it went by so quickly. I was just like, "Oh, that's Picard."
Oh, me too.
I had the exact same reaction. I said, "Oh my God, Locutus!" And then I went back when I watched it again. I was pausing it like in certain scenes, like to try to catch stuff in the background, whatever.
And then you saw the big feathered hat on him.
Yes, and then I saw the big feathered hat and all the gold chains, and I said, "Oh, that's Rios."
And you're like, "How in the did I miss that big ass hat with the feather the first time? This is ridiculous."
The Borg assimilated him, but they didn't assimilate his fashion sense.
He's still smoking.
Yes, he is.
can't remember anything else they said in the mask, so